Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. Arsenal is set to confirm the loan signing of Dani Ceballos from Real Madrid, an interesting signing. He represents a much-needed midfield reinforcement, but why exactly have Arsenal chosen him, and what exactly will he bring to the club? Well, in this video we take a look. But just quickly, if you're new around here and would like more football videos like this and many others such as in-game analysis, manager profiles and more, feel free to hit the subscribe button to join the community. And if you enjoyed the video, a like always goes a long way. Now let's get into it. In order to assess this signing, we're going to look at a few key pillars. First of all, Emery's preferred playing style, how he was forced to change style due to the available personnel last season, a tactical profile of Ceballos, a statistical and tactical comparison to other Arsenal midfielders, and how Arsenal could line up with him. At Sevilla and Valencia, probably Emery's two most successful spells, his preferred formation was usually a 4-2-3-1. He was renowned for using a highly structured, if not rigid system, with each player knowing their role exactly. This formation allowed a high pressing system to flourish, as well as his tendency to play wide and with a high back line. At PSG, this altered to a 4-3-3 with the system remaining roughly the same. And at Arsenal, initially he used a 4-2-3-1, and on paper things were going well, a 22-match unbeaten run being the highlight. But despite these impressive face value stats, Emery knew that his defense was a weakness, and in fact only 8 teams conceded more often than the Gunners. So, Emery shifted to a back 3, playing various formations including the 3-5-2, the 3-4-3 and the 3-4-1-2. But this meant he used two mainly deep-lying midfielders in Xhaka and Torreira, and oftentimes Ozil was not even in the first 11. This meant Arsenal's best attacking options were wide, with natural overloads created there, or if the opposition doubled up, they would switch wide quickly, usually to Kolasinac. The problem with this is that it created a functional midfield, with limited creativity, with only Xhaka's long-range passing being a realistic weapon. So, they rarely attacked down the centre. And in fact, only 7 teams did it less often than the Gunners, so this made them predictable. Enter Dani Ceballos. At 22, Dani Ceballos represents a good deal. He's long been considered one of the best young central midfielders in the world, winning the Euro Under-21 tournament this year, as well as being the player of the tournament in 2017. There were high hopes for him after moving to Real Madrid from Real Betis for €18 million. Since transferring to Madrid, he's had limited opportunities to impress. But this does not make him a bad player, so let's look at his tactical profile. Last season, Ceballos made only 13 starts, with a further 10 appearances from the bench, for a total of just over 1,200 minutes. Positionally, Ceballos is comfortable in most central midfield roles. However, for the most part he represents something between a central midfielder and a 10, meaning he performs well as one of the wide midfielders in a 4-3-3. He's somewhat of a two-way midfielder, but most of his strengths are definitely on the ball. When building up, Ceballos is always keen to get on the ball. He drops deep, looking for pockets of space in order to get the ball to progress it forwards. Ceballos is comfortable doing this, and he's a good ball carrier, moving through the zones with the ball at his feet, as well as a decent passing range allowing him to move it forward. Speaking of passing range, he's a great short passer, and his long passing, whilst not great, is still reasonable, allowing him to switch play when needed. A key strength of his, especially when deep, is his press resistance. He has great close control and quick feet, which therefore allow him to get out of tricky situations when building from deep, as well as high up the pitch when looking to penetrate. Higher up the pitch, he's great at recycling the ball and progressing the ball forward. However, he isn't the most clinical in the final third. His passes usually go out wide to the wingers or fullbacks and on through balls to the forwards. As a result, in his limited minutes, he did not get any assists and only completed 1 key pass per game. He isn't necessarily a goal threat either, scoring only 3 goals, although he can be dangerous from range. Aside from that, he doesn't attack the box when the ball is in wide areas, but would rather be a part of the build-up, which also puts him in a good position to stop counterattacks, with his 2.1 tackles and interceptions per game being evidence of this. Well, how does he compare to the Arsenal midfield? Well, the first thing to note is the different roles of the midfielders. Broadly speaking, Ramsey and Ozil were mainly used in the attacking phase, with Xhaka, Torreira and Guendouzi mainly defensive, although it should be noticed that Xhaka and Guendouzi did contribute during the build-up phase. Ceballos, on the other hand, is hard to put into one box or the other, but rather floats in between the two. So when looking at these stats, keep in mind that Ceballos had the least minutes, meaning a smaller sample size. On the defensive end, Xhaka and Torreira completed more than his 1.4 tackles per game, and his interceptions were below all the midfielders except for Mesut Ozil. On the attacking end, the lack of creativity in the Arsenal midfield is evident. Of course, Ozil excelled when on the pitch with 1.9 key passes, and Xhaka got 1.4. But both players were often on set-piece duty, which may have helped to massage these key pass numbers. In addition, Ceballos' one shot per game would be joint top, showing the lack of goal threat from the Arsenal midfield. Xhaka was most evidently the metronome, getting the ball deep to dictate the play, so he had the highest pass average, but Ceballos still falls within their normal range. He did have the highest pass accuracy, however, showing that there's potential to increase his numbers when he comes to the club. So, how does he fit in? Well, he gives Emre options, as he can play in most formations with the 3 in midfield. With his ability to go both ways, they could revert to a 4-3-3, which would be ideal, allowing him to play as one of the wider midfielders. A 4-2-3-1 would be interesting, as both he and Ozil would rather play in the 10 role, and at the same time either could start from wide and gravitate inwards. A slightly riskier option is to play him in the 2 as well. But a 4-4-2 diamond could be ideal, allowing for most of their midfielders to be in the lineup at the same time. So, overall, if Arsenal wanted a midfielder to contribute heavily to goals and assists, like Ramsey did, Ceballos may not be the man. But what he can do in the build-up phase far outweighs that, so the main disadvantage of this deal for Arsenal is that it's only a loan. But how do you think he'll fare? Drop a comment below to let us know. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.